Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies. Yes, this is an actual video with my voice and everything. So, the grind has been going well for me. I actually unlocked their Merkava coupon, and I thought, you know what? I'm never gonna play this tank. I'm not all that interested in top or high tier. Yeah, she gets mad at me when I wear the blanket. It's cold, baby. It's cold. So, she's yelling at me. So, I traded it for the F7 F3 on the Gaijin Marketplace. And this is an aircraft that's going to take some learning for me. It's just about the highest tier you can get for no cookies, baby. No cookies. So, you'll often face jets in realistic battles. In Tank RB, not too bad. It can hold its own, but it's not a meta aircraft, and that comes down to its handling. This, as you can tell, is a large winged aircraft. Big, heavy airframe, really sleek, nice fuselage, good lines on the plane, but you can tell from the clipped wing design that it's just not going to be the most agile aircraft with those two big heavy engines, and its rather large wing area, which is useful in high altitude combat, and its high speed performance is just fine. But as for how it performs in your typical tank RB situation where you're at low altitude, it's not all that effective against the fighters you'll face. I've been outflown, I've been energy trapped by BF 109 F4s while I was trying to figure out how to fly this thing. But if you're up against a prop, you fly this thing like it's a jet, and you keep your speed up and just boom and zoom your enemies. And if you're facing a jet, you can do a bit of turning with them and make use of the very aggressive rudder on this thing. You can see the vertical stabilizer on this plane is just massive, and it does make a difference. The tail being also very large, you would suspect that it would give you a good amount of lift in a turn, but what you end up seeing is a lot of stability, but not a lot of turn rate, so that is as it is. It does recover energy faster than, say, a Dornier 335, which is pretty close to its battle rating, but it doesn't have the ground strike potential, being that it has, albeit a great number of guns, not a ton of armor penetration value on those, so only really able to engage very lightly armored enemy units or open top vehicles. But with your secondary armament, you can have a couple of 500-pounders and a 1,000-pounder mounted under the central fuselage, which is a nice position for your ordnance, but it doesn't make all that much of a difference on account of their bombs. They're sort of a close is good enough kind of deal anyway. 500-pounders, you are going to need a bit more accuracy, especially against the heavier armored targets. What else can it have? The main selling point of the F7 F3 over the regular Tech Tree variant is increased engine power, which you're going to see at play here as we get into some energy fighting with these enemy fighters. And it also has the option to mount 3 Tiny Tim rocket bombs. So these are massive rockets that were intended for use in an anti-shipping role, and it shows they don't have all that much aimability. They are accurate, they're consistent, they're just difficult to aim because they drop off of the airframe before activating the rocket pack, so you'll need to make more vertical lead on your targets than you would have with most other rockets, especially HVARs or the heat rockets, the Mighty Mouse for the Americans, I suppose. Wouldn't it be cool if this thing had rocket pods with some Mighty Mouse rockets? That would be so cool. I don't know if that existed in real life, but a man can dream. So the secondary ordnance on this aircraft, not overwhelming, but potentially useful. You have the ability to pick up 1 or 2 ground kills with your secondary weapons if everything's just right. But if you look at the stall characteristics of this aircraft and the low speed maneuverability, it feels like the old Focke-Wulf flight model where it just hangs in the sky at low speeds. Not ideal at all, but if you play your cards right, there are situations where you could use excuse me, a high spiral where you zoom climb up and then start doing a horizontal loop to energy trap your enemy. That's part of energy fighting that I'm a big fan of in my BF-109s. You can also use a hammerhead technique, which is a bit more risky, where you aggressively go vertical with your aircraft until your enemy is about to stall, and then you roll over using your rudder, drop the engine power down to hang in the sky, and drop down on top of them. So there are some techniques you can use when it comes to energy fighting with this aircraft, but it's not very good at them. The only thing you can really count on is the horsepower of your engines, which puts this solidly as a boom and zoom style aircraft, and that is not the gameplay you're seeing now. Anyway, it'll take me a while to learn this one, and in the meantime, I'll show you what I've been doing in the event as I continue with the grind. Let's talk about getting first place in the team. Have you guys been enjoying my first place compilations where I just play some relaxing music in the background and show you matches where I got first place? Well, I hope so. That's kind of you to say that, by the way. I really appreciate the feedback. And this is video from yesterday. I had a great number of matches yesterday where I was getting first place, but I forgot that I had turned off Shadowplay's replay ability, so I was not actually recording those matches where I was getting first place, and so now we're looking at a replay. I've turned off the UI for aesthetic reasons. You can appreciate the panda and heart decal on the back of my KV-1B all the more. And we are on Sichumen team today. This is the Finnish captured KV-1B. Gaijin wondering what to do about the fact that Germany doesn't have a low-rank heavy tank. Why not give them the most powerful low-rank heavy in the game, the KV-1B? Oh, great idea. And let's make it an event premium or a rare premium. I actually ended up getting this one in the Warbond shop, so this was a completely free vehicle for me to research and unlock, and it took quite a bit of grinding over the course of a month. And yet, if you're able to play the game for, I'd say, 3 to 4 hours per day, and it'll be about 20 days at least over the course of a month. So decent amount of time, but solidly doable for most people, unless you have both a full-time job and responsibilities at home that would keep you away from gaming for quite some time. As we take down a T-34 with a nice side shot. He was trying to press W to win there, and he wasn't paying attention to the map. I do love around Battle Rating 4.0, where the game meta is just a bit simpler, and when you use those tricks with positioning and map knowledge that you've learned over the course of thousands of hours of playing this game, they pay off a little bit more consistently in the lower battle ratings. I think around 4.0, 5.0, even a few 6-7 lineups are fun for me as well, but then things start getting a little bit more competitive, and I can't just enjoy, let's be honest, mopping the floor with people that aren't as experienced as me. Seal clubbing, some call it. And yet, even the KV-1B is not completely impenetrable. I'm not sure how that enemy KV punched through our armor there. I thought we were angled appropriately with our whole armor, and he did hit a fuel tank there, so that makes me think that he penetrated the side hull, or maybe a frontal weak spot. Not sure on that one, but generally when the KV gets frontally penned by an APHE round, it just kills all the crew, so I'm thinking we got shot through the side there. Maybe the maybe one of the track rollers, because those can be a weak spot in the armor depending upon the specific armor model of the vehicle, so who's to say. Anyway, we continue to tank shots as you do in a heavy, and the KV-1B up-armored version is one of the few heavy tanks that can actually make armor great again. So I always enjoy playing them. I've always had a huge love for heavy armor on tanks. I love being the bruiser. I love being able to come in, take shots to the face, and punch people right in their weak spots, and the KV-1B is just right when it comes to what it faces, mostly other KV-1s and T-34s, and what it can handle. And on the move, we got a nice shot into that KV-1S, the speedy boy. You can see the hole in his mantlet. We put another one there just to remind him of the feelings of Senpai. That took out his breach, and we finish off the rest of the crew with a shot into the straight-on portion of that rounded mantlet. Very effective mantlet unless you hit it right in the cheeks. We get a shot into that Achilles, killing him, but at the same time his round was already in the air, and no, it did not cease to exist this time, and we get taken down. So that's not my aircraft. Replay system, you're drunk. Hold on a second. I don't know why it does this, but sometimes it jumps to another player like, hey, you want to spectate somebody else? No, I don't. Who do you think I am? The Mighty Jingles? And so here we are in the BF-110, and we talked about a very powerful premium that can play a role in the German tree that just doesn't exist at that battle rating in the regular tech tree, and that's something that I consider fun, but also a bit unfair for the players that don't have access to that vehicle, although you can always play your KV-1s in the Russian tree and have a similar experience. Russian tree, you say? Yes, I know it's USSR, but it turns into the Russians later. So anyway, here we are in a regular tech tree vehicle that performs very well, the BF-110. I think it's called the G2. Here you see us putting the cannons to good work. We heard that enemy fighter. We saw his dot in the distance. We decided to engage him before we go after ground targets, and we have two 500-kilogram bombs that drop one by one. So this gives us two bombing runs. First bombing run, and that looked good to me. We've picked up several kills now. We're actually going to end up with 8 ground kills and 3 air kills in this match for a total of 11 kills, so look forward to that. Tank Baby's asking for a cookie again. Now she's saying food. Let's go get some food for the Tank Baby. I'll be right back. Okay, Hans, where were we? We were in the BF-110, Franz. Oh yeah, das is good. We have another bomben, and we will deliver it. I'm thinking about now. Coming for the diving run. Nice release. Managed to miss the buildings. Smooth slide out of the dive, and I believe we picked up another kill there. This one aspect of turning off the UI, there's a certain element of mystery. No mystery, as we see this enemy fighter on our tail. He definitely wants a piece of us, so we'll see what we can do. We don't have the energy to energy trap him, which is something the BF-110 can do reasonably well in the right circumstances, but he pulls away, giving us a chance to climb onto his tail, and the BF-110 is fairly good at picking up speed for its battle rating. So again, this sort of plays like the F-7F with a rear gunner, which would be a beautiful addition to the F-7F, albeit an awkward one, I'm sure. Looks like an I-16. We got a piece of his aileron there, unfortunately, hoping to get a bit more. but he didn't give us the chance. We decided to turn a bit here since his aileron is damaged, just to see if we can pull him into a dogfight, but it is very, very dangerous for a PF-110 to dogfight an I-16, so I'm kind of playing like an idiot here as well. He's flying nice and straight for us to get a chance with our guns to take him down. No sauce, but he does turn away again, so we do the old rinse and repeat. Not sure if he's low on ammo or just common sense, as he doesn't decide to climb and try and energy fight us. But, well, 4.0 battle rating. These are not the most experienced players in the game, and I only learned a lot of these dogfighting techniques recently just by trying new things in battles. Taking some ground fire here as we managed to avoid getting one shot by the AA. Open up on a poor defenseless little ASU-57, those being more popular than ever because of the fantastic amount of penetration their 57mm cannon can have, as another enemy fighter is on our tail, and this time we do not survive the process. All in all, with 1 or 2 air kills, picking up an assist on the I-16, and a few ground kills, we have plenty of spawn points to spawn in our next vehicle, and that is the game we are playing today. We took out the heavy. We could have taken out the Sonderkraftfahrzeug, which with a regular tech tree variant that is quite good as a light scout tank, and with a punchy little cannon to go along with it, it's not bad at all. But with the tank destroyer variant in the form of the Sonderkraftfahrzeug 234/4, it's even more effective at playing the spawn points game, with almost the same low spawn point cost as a light tank, and very, very good ability to sway a battle with its fantastic speed and ability to get into position. The gun handling not all that great, but we're not talking about that now. Let's talk a little bit about Soviet bias. Here we are in a beautiful captured version of the LA-5, which is a decent all-rounder fighter at the 3.7 battle rating, with the extra added element of its ground strike rounds for the 20mm cannons, able to punch through a significant amount of armor, easily capable of dealing with most top armor that it can face at this battle rating, with the exception of KV class vehicles that I think have around 40mm of top armor, just a bit too much for the Shivaks to handle. And yet, you see, we've selected our target. It's an AA, very aggressively going for this potato truck, almost too aggressively, you might say, as our controls lock up just a bit at the base of that dive. We could have stood to come off the throttle a bit, which is something you can't really see. We do throttle down a bit in a dive now, most of the time, which really helps us to avoid locking up the controls at high speeds and being able to have more time on target. And then we're able to exit that dive with still a good amount of energy and not crash into the ground. So, another air target down there. Speaking of crashing into the ground, that's probably what he's about to do. Get a nice rear shot on an enemy ground vehicle and go for it with gusto, unloading both of those engine cowling mounted guns into the rear of that enemy tank. I think that was a T-34, not quite sure from the replay that I'm seeing in my little editing window. Another note about the LA-5 and even the American 50 cals, following the same idea, they can punch through the top turret armor of a T-34, the models before the 85, where the turret armor is increased. Earlier models of the T-34 having fairly weak cupola armor, I guess, hatch armor. You can punch through that with even heavy machine guns, but you need to be close, so you've got to throttle down, close to within, say, 500 meters, open up, and then get the heck out of there, as you do not want to crash into the ground. So I was just having a nice, fun, leisurely match. During this entire match, I was talking with AC on the Discord, and I have an announcement there with regard to AC and Butler being, well, for lack of a better word, Discord lawyers. So that I think that'll be fun. And so suffice to say, things are always happening on the Discord. Now, I talked about not crashing into the ground, but we were going for a critical hit or a kill on that T-34, and we had already decided that it was time to spawn in another aircraft, because again, we're just trying our best to get first place here. And I was actually playing pretty casually and just enjoying myself, and we had enough spawn points to jump into a ground vehicle. So we'll go ahead and go with our own T-34, but things are not going to turn out so well for us. So, speaking of that, how's the event been for you guys? I like to stay positive, and on a positive side, this event has been the simplest to grind of all the events in War Thunder history. It looks like they're sticking with this idea of just letting people play matches and play what they want, which really helps to avoid boredom, as I'm able to switch between different battle ratings and nations and not worry about not making the most efficient progress. Of course, it is the most efficient for me to try and get first place in my team, and you do see a lot of try-harding, because this is an event and people want to try to grind as efficiently as possible, on account of you get an extra crate that is pretty much guaranteed to give you one single part, or maybe two or three, and never a custom camo, as it indicates. That wheel of shame is just, well, I was talking about that with AC while I was playing this match, and I guess it's not the most positive thing to talk about, but I'll start by saying I've greatly enjoyed this event. I was stressing out when I didn't know if I was going to make good progress, but it turns out that I can oh, we over-angled there. I can unlock an airplane about once every 2 days, so that gives me plenty of time to get the things I want, and things are going to work out just fine for me, so I don't have to stress. But let's talk about this box you can get for getting Best Boy. You get an extra box that has a random reward, and the thing you have to realize about all of these Gaijin loot crates is they decide what you're going to get on the roll before the roll even happens. And then the roll is just there to get you excited about opening the box, and it will show you a lot more of the higher tier rewards that you're actually not going to get. Your odds of getting a camo out of a box have to be less than 1%, or in the area of 1%, because I have opened at least 50 boxes over the past few days of this event, as, not trying to brag or anything, but I mean, I kind of know how to get first place in the team. It's just it's flying aircraft, and you can tell I've got lots of aircraft in my lineups, so I tend to get first place quite often in these battles, and I have never gotten a camo. I've never gotten anything other than mostly one, sometimes two or three aircraft maintenance kits, I think they're called, the repair kits in those boxes. And so I don't think that it's kind of Gaijin to show us all these fancy things that we're not actually going to get. I'd like to see the animation for opening the box. Number one, I'd like it to be skippable, because I know that I'm just going to get what it decides I'm going to get. I don't want to play this game where it looks like a roulette, but it's not actually a roulette. And also, I would like to see the rewards represented more accurately, to where if you have a very small chance of getting a camouflage, the camouflage only shows up a very small amount of times on the roulette wheel, as it were, instead of showing 6 camos in a row, and then, oh, what do you know, it stops on the last pixel of a single repair kit, and that's what you get. It jumps all the way over to it. So it's clearly something that whoever made the roulette thought would be interesting and exciting and show off some of the possibilities for the box, but the effect that it has after opening the first 1 or 2 in your entire history of playing War Thunder, as we go for an energy trap on this enemy fighter. Watch the energy fighting as we avoid his guns here. Very risky maneuvers, because you can never tell where someone's actually shooting in War Thunder. Talking to you, programmers. But anyway, that's a different matter. And we throttle down so we can end up behind his tail, and we're gonna get him here. But the match is gonna end before we can. Let's talk about that roulette one more time. I'd like to see the odds actually posted, as Warframe does for all of the random drops, so we know what our chances are. I think that would be very beneficial to the community, and we would have at least something to talk about, instead of just talking about how we don't like the odds and we don't like the way they're represented. But that's all complaining, and that's not something I like to do. I really think it's an opportunity for positive change. I think that War Thunder would benefit from posting the drop rates for all of the things in this event, and everything where they have a random drop chance, all of the chests. If they would post those probabilities, it would help us be more informed consumers and also give us something to talk about. Of course, there would be complaints with what those drop tables actually are, as people are hoping for a better deal, but at least we would be able to make informed decisions, and I think overall it would build a better rapport with the community, and that is something that, as I mentioned, has already been done by Warframe, and it's something that worked out very well for them. Anyway, guys, thanks for sticking with me for this long video. I just wanted to catch up with you and let you know what's going on with me, and give you a nice video where you can actually hear my voice. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.